That's the song right there. That 80-year-old man start me up. And I ain't talking about the main man, the host. I'm talking about Mick Jagger. Hey, it's the flagship show at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's Unlock the Middle. Josh Nowak, principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland ISD, Garland, USA. Ready to rock and roll with all of you right here. As we're starting week 6, this guy over here, he's starting week 2. He won his football game, so everything is great in life. So come on board. We got a great speaker today that will show how to connect with our kids, will show all the things that happen in life right now that we're facing. And it doesn't matter where you're facing the same obstacles as we are in Texas. So if you are in Alaska or you're in Hawaii, whether you're in Maine or whether you're in Florida or anywhere in the 48 middle, we're ready to rock and roll with you. If you're watching this on the rebroadcast, please like it and share it and tag people. Tag people, because you know what? There's great knowledge being dropped today, and in all the other 700 something shows like that. There, Dean Packard.
I think you're right.
Let everyone know what is up right there. The creator, the man, Dean Packard.
I don't know about the creator or the man, but yes, I am Dean Packard, the proud principal of Bay Path Regional Vocational Technical High School in Charlton, Massachusetts. You know, obviously, alongside me, I have Josh Tovar with me tonight from the great state of Texas. And Sunday nights, Josh, are always fun. Hey, listen, coming off a Thursday night, we had over 10,000 views on the show that we had. I thought that's fantastic. You start seeing people from around the country tune in. And our job is primarily just to spread the wealth of knowledge and meet people who are doing the things that just make people a little better around them. So I have a lot of fun with that. And I know you do too, my friend. And even though in the background I have my Patriots losing, it's okay. It's still going to be one of those nights that's going to be fun for us because we do have a guest that's going to kind of light this place on fire. What do you think about that, Josh?
I think it's great because the Washington Redskins, Commanders, whatever you want to call them, they won today. That's all I care about. But you know what? I care about more. The message by Mr. Chaz Perez. Come on in. Come on.
All right, let's get him in here. Chaz, welcome to our show. It's great to have you here on behalf of Josh and myself. Welcome to the table, and we look forward to having you speak tonight a little bit. So welcome aboard.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so happy and excited to be here with you all. I've been watching a number of your shows, and I love the energy. I love what you guys bring. So let's go.
Let's do it, Chaz. All right, let's start right off, man. I got the first question here. I have the honor. So give the audience a summary of your experiences, a.k.a. your origin, your story, how you got to where you are today, man, that difference maker in the world of education.
Absolutely. I'll sum that whole thing up in about 2 minutes, minute and a half or so. So I have dyslexia. I spent every single one of my elementary school years in those special portables in the back. I also grew up in a very impoverished setting. My mother, bless her soul, was an addict of many different things. And so that space was very challenging for me to succeed. I could not read a text and understand it. And back in the 80s, they didn't really understand dyslexia. And perhaps a lot of times, many school districts still do not fully understand dyslexia or have proper treatment there. So reading remediation for me didn't really happen. I read my first book around 7th or 8th grade with decent comprehension. That left a very dark narrative upon my soul. Luckily, I met a gentleman that mentored me, took me under his wing, and essentially my relationship with him catapulted me into traveling the whole world. Absolutely. Asia, Europe, Africa, and certainly all over the US. So, but the thing is this man taught me how to use all the bad things that happened to me for good. Thus the phrase, turn pain into passion.
Right there. That's a great way to open up tonight's conversation, turning pain into passion. And what a story you have right there. And we're going to look into this a little bit more as we continue on throughout the show tonight. So, Josh, why don't you take it?
Well, let's build on that. You said that there's this individual that inspired you. So my question to you is, who motivated you at the onset of your career? And then as you transition into the speaker life, who currently motivates you and keeps igniting that fire that you have and that passion that brings to all the audience of students and educators?
Great question. You know, I would say there was that mentor that I speak of. His name is Richard Box, actually. He was a former UNLV basketball player. But then there was a 4th grade special education teacher by the name of Mr. Gelson. And he was a man of very little words, and he wasn't affirming and encouraging. But when he spoke to me, he just put his hand on my shoulder like this when he spoke to me. There was something in his tone, and fourth grade was probably the worst year at home, to tell you the truth. But there was something so warm in his tone that kind of gave me hope. It's amazing what a tone can do. And then, of course, the other mentor, Richard Box, there was a moment where we had to clean a recreation basketball court. It was indoors, but the floor was full of soot, and we had to mop it. And so he took me in the back, and we were looking for the mop. The mop was gone, or excuse me, the mop was there in the bucket, but the strainer was gone, right? And there was this much water of like black, sooty, nasty water. And we look at each other, right? And I'm like, 14, 15 years old, and I look at him, he looks at me, and he grabs the mop and wrings it out with his own hands. For some reason, that moment gave me, something clicked. Something about leadership, something specifically about servant leadership that totally changed my worldview. And then in terms of professional speaking, I would have to say right now, there is a guy named Logan Taylor. He's a youth speaker. He does middle and high school, and he does even some corporate stuff. But his story is absolutely inspiring. I look up to him. There's another beautiful speaker named Duncan Kirkwood. Wonderful guy, speaks on resilience, former Army trainer, and those two I really admire so very much. They're definitely heroes of mine.
Hey, Chaz, real quick. You said that you've traveled around the world spreading your message. What places have you visited?
Wow. So actually, yeah. So Mongolia, China, Japan, Korea, Laos, Thailand, and the UK, Ireland, Spain, Turkey, Egypt, and of course Canada, and of course all over the US. So there you go.
Awesome.
I'm missing a few.
Frequent flyer miles right there. That's fantastic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You get a chance to see the world from a different lens. Great stuff right there. So, Chaz, as you speak and you engage these students from around the world and these people from around the world, what obstacles have you overcome in your life that help you connect with those students? And how do you make that connection with the kids? What does that look like?
That's a great question. So there's a beautiful Thai proverb that I heard when I was there. It said, "A heart is purchased with another heart." And there's one thing that this generation is absolutely good at. They're good at lots of things, but probably their number one skill is snooping out fakes. So any pretension, they can smell it a mile away. And so one of the main tools that I use to connect with young people is what I refer to soft, deprecating vulnerability. Obviously, if I've not worked on myself and my issues, then how I manifest myself into the world will be pretentious or fake. And perhaps in our education space, it can come in the face of under the title of professionalism. Now, professionalism is completely virtuous, but there's a space right within professionalism and being disingenuous. That's not, it's a safe zone, and you can go to that place with students, and it makes them respect you. It makes them say, you know what, this person is honorable, but they don't appear to have all the answers for absolutely every question on the face of the earth, right? And so if you can bring that energy into your space with students, a deep respect is built. A deep respect. Again, I return to the Thai proverb, a heart is only purchased with another heart.
Wow. And I'm thinking about that for a second as I do my job day in and day out. And I have to deal with kids who've made very difficult decisions sometimes. And I want to make them know that I still appreciate who they are, even though they made a poor choice, and that I'll be there to help them get through the process. But a level of accountability always has to be held, to each person for what they do. So I love that you said that, though. That makes me realize because you can doesn't mean you always have to do in a certain way. You got to find a way to connect. Great stuff right there.
I always say a connection before correction.
Bingo. Yeah, that's fair.
At home,
That's fair.
at school,
Yeah.
with friendships. I mean,
That's
it
fair.
transcends all things, but it's definitely true in the education space.
Love it.
And I think that's one of those lost art things that a lot of administrators forget. And you know what? This guy up here in Massachusetts, he does a very good job of that. He does silly TikTok dances, and he cannot dance. I'm telling you, this guy cannot dance at
Not
all.
about the dancing, Josh. It's about
People say
connection.
about stereotypes. That guy lives up to a stereotype. But you know
You're
what?
killing me.
The ultimate laughter and joy in those kids' faces that I see, that's because this man is willing to put himself in a vulnerable position to make a connection with kids. And you know what? There's a lot of people that sit in our chair that think that their title makes them not be able to do that, that they cannot walk around with a trash can like I do at lunch and pick up trash. You know what? Those are the things right there that I'm telling you right now. Or serving them food in the lunch line. And it goes on and on. All I'm telling you one thing is, a administrator out there, future administrator out there, you got to do the things that make you feel so uncomfortable. But you know what? As Chaz says, that will give you tons of credit in the kid's credit card. So when you take out credit from that credit card, you got a big surplus still in there. So I mean, it's just amazing. Thank you for saying that. And hey, Dean, respect to you, bro. Won't do TikTok dances. I'll do other stuff, but I can't dance.
I won't
You have a
sing.
limit. You have a limit.
Hey, man. Hey, this Mexican doesn't like that white guy up there. We can't dance, bro. I'm telling you, we cannot dance. Hey, but you know what? As you're talking to different people in the United States and especially students, what are they telling you specifically? And you know, I don't like mentioning from 3 years ago because those are still before then, right? We just acquired new issues.
Right.
People are just bringing up that disease.
That's right.
To cover up the problems were always there. The toxicity was there with social media, all those things. So we just got extra luxury of nonsense after the disease. So what are kids talking? What's hurting them?
Okay, obviously this is multi-pronged, but I'm just going to hit it right on the head, right? Okay, is they feel so alone. They feel so alone. After a presentation, what happens is half to a third of the kids line up wanting to give me a hug with happy tears, and the thing that I always hear, this is like 90% of the time, is they feel alone. And of course it's because, well, it's multi-pronged, but primarily the screen time versus in-person time. It's kind of simple. Not enough hugs, not enough FaceTime, not enough human engagement. But then you want to tack on top of that, of the 50% of them do not have a father in the home, or if he's there, he's not really there. So now we're like down like maybe 30% of again, fatherlessness. So the screen time, the fatherlessness, and then of course now you have a single mom at home. Well, what is she doing after a long days of work? She's doing the same thing, and we all need rhythms of relaxation and rest and boundaries. Yes, we do, but they feel alone. So a little bit of validation goes a long way. I mean, think about it. If you think the top 1, 2, or 3 situations that were most challenging in your life, like we almost want to give up kind of situations, like tens, right, of challenges. The thing that brought most relief wasn't, in one sense, the situation passing or the thing being solved exactly. I mean, that's kind of true. The thing that brought most relief was having somebody there with you to walk with you through it. And so that piece, that's a missing element. They have all these electronic friends, but they don't get that FaceTime, a hug. for 30 seconds releases the chemical of oxytocin into your brain, something known as the bonding hormone, to which they've lost millions of cumulative hours of. They have no, so of course they feel alone. And again, can you feel alone in a group? Of course you can. Of course you can. Of course you can. It's FaceTime. And this is why I always say asking questions and telling stories can do so much work in psychologically with not only students, but just people in general. We don't ask questions because everybody's figured everything out. There's no humility within the culture because we have information at our fingertips. Anything you want to know, we already know it. So there's creates this feeling, this fallacious belief that we know everything. In one sense to them too, but then even with adults, and that lack of humility, it just wreaks havoc on the culture scape. Can I get a yes, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
And you know what, Chaz? It's so true what you just said. The part of our campus is brand new kids coming in from El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Vietnam, kids that don't know English, so they come in and just imagine. I see that every day when they walk in at the lunchroom. So here they just were uprooted from Nicaragua, El Salvador, Vietnam, not knowing the language, and they're walking in the stereotypical Hollywood movie with them not knowing where to sit down.
Yeah.
The good thing about the Jaguars is that they all are part of that family. So they embrace them. It doesn't matter what flag they're wearing. They all come in together and they rally. Hey, come ven a sentar conmigo. Come and sit with me. So it's a beautiful thing of, you know what, of everyone rowing in the same direction for success. So as I'm asking that, and we've seen that every single last day, let me ask you, how can educators connect with this loneliness? How can they find that situation to where they see that kid in the lunchroom, in the hallway, walking by themselves against the locker with their hoodie on? How can they connect with those kids?
Amazing. And so I'm going to quote Dr. Stephen Porges here, founder of a particular therapy. And he always says that magic happens in moments. That connections really just happen. You have to think of it in terms of just moments. So I even here's what I always suggest is if you're in the education space, student or admin or teacher, you need to take a compassion scan once a day. If you walk into an office with 3 people, you walk into a classroom with 30 students, you just as a habit, take a compassion scan, look for a downcast face, and reach out in a micro encounter, right? So again, you're presuming that they're already thinking to do that. Well, the question is how to do that, right? So the first thing is most school leaders tragically are not doing that. And again, the complexity is mind-numbing in the culture scape, trying to navigate being a school leader right now. And we all know it. We all know what's happening. But still, reaching out and just again, are you okay? Now, of course, when you ask somebody, are you okay? What are they always going to say? Nine times out of 10, fine.
Sure.
But guess what? That student, that teacher, that colleague knows that now that someone cares and someone reached out, which it can be all the difference in the world. Just a few weeks ago, I'm sorry, it's been a month now, I lost a dear friend who I was coming to my house on a semi-regular basis to suicide. Okay, to suicide. Dear friend. His wife, I don't want to give his business, no one in the space knows him, but I knew for certain that there was some issues going on with him that I didn't agree with. So I didn't respond to him for probably about half a week, as did many of his friends of his. And that's when he did that. But the point is, my friend felt cut off. Whether that was a right boundary circumstantially to things that he was engaged in or not, that's a whole different conversation. I'm not getting into that. What I want to pinpoint is that he felt alone. That is the thing. And even a fist bump, even again, I know people have different comfort levels of comfort, even a hand on the shoulder or a warm tone has the power to bring a person out of fearful states of being to immaculate states of joy just by tone. Just a warm Tone can do it. Again, so fist bump, warm tone. Again, it's all magic happens in moments. So there you go.
You're absolutely correct, and that's the internal connection that drives all relationships that we do in every single day. So, Chaz, talk to your audience about turning pain into passion. What does that look like? And give some examples if you could, please.
Yes, absolutely. I love your energy, both of you, and it's infectious. But I'm gonna turn real serious here, just for like 25 seconds. Okay. I want to speak directly to every educator out there, directly to you, just for a moment. And I'm going to dovetail it into exactly what Dean had asked. I'm going to ask you a few questions. Before we do, I want you to take 2 breaths. Is that okay? Can we do that? Okay, into your nose, out your mouth. Let's go. Has anyone ever stabbed you in the back? Has anyone ever walked out on you? Has anyone ever wasted years of your life? No, they didn't. That's not even what happened. What happened was time and providence lovingly removed somebody who could not be a part of your beautiful and abundant future. Transformation happens when you rewrite the story in your mind. That's how we turn pain into passion. I don't watch pop culture too much, but I accidentally stumbled into a singer at America's Got Talent from a couple of years ago. She went by the name Nightbird. Maybe many of you saw that. I didn't see. I accidentally bumped into it, and she sang her song that everything's okay. Now, when she gave that song, that moment there on America's Got Talent, she had cancer in her lungs and some other part of her body, and she looked frail, right? But she had a smile on her face. And she shared that information before she sang her song. So she sang her song. And by the way, a year later, she would end up dying. But at the end of her song, she said these words, "Listen ever so carefully, beloved educator, because many human lives under your care hang in the balance." Are you listening? She said, "You cannot wait until your life isn't difficult to find a way to be happy." That's how we turn pain into passion. And this is so critical in the education space. Parents have dropped the ball en masse, and I know that every educator at the sound of my voice is not trying to hear that they have to take on parent responsibilities, and no one is even suggesting that. What I'm suggesting is that you realize that magic happens in moments and reach out in micro encounters, because in many cases it will be the difference between life or death, not just for them, but for you. Because we all know the psychological havoc, what happens when we no longer see our work as meaningful. Can I get a yes, yes?
We're all sitting back and absorbing that.
Yeah, powerful.
Wow. Okay. So kind of let me break this. As we're seeing that now on the adult side, Dean and I have been on so many podcasts where we hear about not finding teachers because so many of them depart the profession. Not only people departing the profession, but also the kids that you just mentioned right now. I mean, I'm sure Dean already at the middle school, but even more so at the high school is going to be facing all of these daily encounters and not being able to feed the family, about not being able to wear clothing, wearing the same clothes 5 days. That's why you wear a hoodie so you don't smell. All those kind of things, it can be seen very disheartening in our profession, in our
Yeah.
educational field right now. So what kind of hope is out there, Chaz? What do you see visiting so many countries, all these states, different levels? What is the hope out there for educators?
Hmm. Absolutely. Here's what I can suggest. And I don't think there's a magic bullet for this, to be completely frank with you. And different things will function for different people. So let me just make that the stipulator there. But I think because of the tumultuous cultural climate, success must be redefined up here for school leaders. I am from Las Vegas, and I work extensively in, of course, my school district. And there are things that come down the pike, as in, I'm sure that you've dealt with too, that are absolutely painfully ridiculous. That and you can't say that, and you can't voice that, and it's difficult, and so there you are as a school leader having to give this to your educators who you can't afford to lose one, and this is coming down, and it's disheartening. So here's what I would suggest, and is you have to work very diligently, and you guys do an excellent, both of you. I know from your reputation that you guys are excellent at this. Is you have to really push in to culture and climate, because if all the other variables, which are in many cases impossible, it's mission impossible, is you have to redefine success in your mind and your heart, and know that making connections matters most. I think it's Dr. Brad Johnson, another amazing school speakers. And by the way, I have no issue highlighting and propagating other school speakers, because there's so many wonderful of them out. There's so many amazing speakers out there. But Dr. Brad Johnson says that, of course, that you've seen his memes. Relationships before rigor. Again, I know you've heard that. You probably said it on the show many times. But once you fully metabolize that, you have to redefine success, because the truth is there's lots of variables that are simply out of the school leader's control. And if you don't understand what's in your hand to control and what's not, you will suffer, your family will suffer. So you need to redefine success. And you know what? Here's the other piece of that probably nobody likes. And this is hard to hear, because we as Americans and Westerners are high on control and low on acceptance. When something bad happens, the first thing that you and I think is what's wrong. Something wrong happened, right? But Easterners don't have this problem. They almost anticipate things going wrong. So, but for us, something goes wrong, it's like, oh, that means something is wrong. But the truth is, life is not clean like that. You, you if you have those expectations, of course you're going to be, I'm going to say it, drink too much. Now, I drink wine. I love wine. Okay. And I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying, of course, you can be prone to addictions and behaviors that are going to have adverse effects for you, because you don't know what you can't just make that distinction, again, at the deepest levels, for that which is in your hands and that which is not. So again, I come to the point is you have to redefine success up here. You have to redefine it. So there you go. Can I get a yes, yes?
Absolutely. 1, 2. And listen, Chaz, you mentioned connecting birth resilience. What does that mean? And how can you give examples of what that looks like?
Absolutely. I mentioned it at the beginning, and I did it very strategically. I tell you what, I did not have a good special education experience. By the way, for all my, if there's any special education teachers out there, number one, I love you, I adore you, and stay in the fight. I spent 1 year as an adult in the autistic rooms for my school district. I've been spit on, I've been punched, I've been kicked, I've chased kids across the street into the neighborhoods. Okay. And so I've been in the trenches. Okay. So what I'm about to say is coming from that place. And I hope you hear my heart. Mr. Gelson, my fourth grade teacher, brought exponential hope into a broken child's heart by putting his hand on my shoulder. And a warm tone. I have neighbors. They're both high school teachers. I won't say their names because maybe they're watching because I love them so much. And I asked them a question. And I said, what's the hardest thing about being an educator? And do you know what the husband said to me? Trying to show up with a smile when your whole life is falling apart. Educators, welcome. If somebody's not said this to you yet, welcome to the hospitality industry, because that is the only logical path forward in terms of mindset. If you've been to a fine dining restaurant, raise up your hand. I don't know. Can I get a like or something like that? You spent some money. Okay, good for you. And was it a positive experience? Think of all the reasons why and realize that is the direction you need to head. Not for them. Oh, don't get it twisted. That's not for them. That's on the peripheral. That is for your personal peace. Servant leadership, and this is what we're really talking about here, is hospitality. Servant leadership is the only logical path forward for any educator with a heart. Can I get a yes, yes?
Boom.
And then that's the only way. I think that, that's a lot of stuff that Dean does also. I really suggest that everyone, all 7 billion people, follow Dean Packard on X, because he does a lot of great stuff that's going out there for kids, and he does it because that's all that matters is about kids. And obviously he does there too. He supports his team members in the classroom. But this question right now, Chaz, this is the reality. The reality is that exodus, it ain't stopping.
Nope.
I still have 2 vacancies. I think I interviewed formally and informally, and I might be able to fill them, but I'm already starting week 6 with 2 vacancies. So that creates a deficit in a school that has a lot of deficits with all at-risk kids. Well, the reason I'm saying all this, it's because there are people that already have their mindset to tap out, or they held on one more year, just one more year, and the noise is starting. The cell phones in the class, the grades grading the essays, whatever it might be, and they've had enough. Chaz, what do you talk, or what do you say to that team member that has a lot to offer, but they're already right here? Ya no juego. I ain't playing anymore. I'm peace. I'm out, fool. I don't want it. I'm gonna use my sick days, then I'm gonna put in my paperwork. What do you say to that person?
There's no magic bullet, but if there was anything that could be at the highest level, and that is pleading with them that there are kids in need. Now, they know that, but for them to reimagine success. And that, here's the thing. If you've done any therapy for yourself, read any books, you will eventually come into the place of the law, if you would, of boundaries, right? You're going to come in with boundaries. And so last year in my district, a teacher was alone with a student for 10 minutes, and he attempted to molest her in my district last year, the 4th quarter, I think last week of school. Okay. And no one came to help her for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. So it didn't happen. And I believe he's doing the time now. So he didn't get away with it. What do you say to that? How do you respond? We and especially for those who are working in the urban areas, but even not, um, you have to emphasize calling. You have to emphasize calling. If I'll tell you what, so I spent 4 years in China, okay, working with children who were sold by their parents. Did you hear that? I'm sorry. Does the microphone? I'm sorry. I okay. I worked with these men who bought and sold children. You want to talk about working with manipulators? You want to talk about working with the scum of the earth? And I've worked with belligerently lying parents too while I went to school district, okay, and belligerently lying students. And these children are not innocent themselves, because you can imagine them being in that environment for years, how they and then having to like parent. So here and by the way, I didn't that money that I received in that time was very little. I wanted to tap out many days. I want to just, I'm like, this is crazy. I'm not making a change. Look at these. We're rescuing these kids and they're ungrateful. We're giving them, 3 hots and a cot, okay, whatever. Okay, housing, a plan for their future, a hope, a safe, and they turn on us and they invite thieves to like steal. The stories are endless. I don't want to get sidetracked, but the point is, the thing that kept me in the game, and this is what every school leader needs to hear regarding what you're saying. The school leader has, again, it's so hard, but you do absolutely have to become a motivator. Yes, an inspirer. You have to emphasize calling. And the truth, again, as you said, the wave is not going to change because the culture is already in decline in many different ways. It's eroding many different pieces. So again, the hope is we have to redefine success for ourselves. Know there's going to be losses. I want to tell the story about this particular counselor I was speaking with yesterday. I'm not going to, again, she's an 8th grade. All the counselors left in this middle school near me. All of them, right? I think they have 5. They have 1 counselor. There's 4 or 5 spots. This poor counselor is bouncing from class to class with 1 hour with an 8. It's a fee. And half this school is in a neighborhood where a third of the kids are from weekly rentals. It's out of control. Actually, I'll be there in a few weeks, hoping to make a dent. Okay, but the point is this: what keeps this counselor in the game? And I'll quote her exactly. I want to say her name because she's so brave and so brilliant and valuable. Is she goes, Chaz, if I make a difference in a few, I will be satisfied when I lay my head at night. That's what it takes. You have to return to your why. Not once a day, not twice a day, not 3 times a day. You have to be clothed with your why. You have to be saturated with your why. With your working with children who were sold into slavery in China, or if you're working in Dallas, Texas, in a neighborhood of weekly rentals. Or it isn't, you have to be clothed with your why. It has to be at the forefront of what you say, what you think, what you do. And so there you go. And again, as a school leader, you have to inspire calling. It has to eke from your being because the culture is shifting. I don't know what it's going to be like. Again, it's, as you said, Josh, the wave is not going to stop. But we can slow it down. We can focus on culture and climate, like with extreme emphasis, and extreme emphasis on SEL. Because again, I'm not being redundant here, but parents en masse have dropped the ball. Again, no educators trying to be a parent. I know they're not, and no one's suggesting that. But again, the magic happens in moments. And emphasize as a school educator, calling. And yeah, so there you go.
I just want to drop this out here. Nazareth said this absolutely correctly. Be an influencer. Our job as educational leaders, it's not just curriculum support. It's not just parental support or student support. It's an influencer for everybody in a learning community. And that's why you can't be afraid to do things, to tell the narrative of what's going on inside your school, whether it's recognizing teachers, students, whether it's recognizing alumni. It's about creating a buzz and a purpose to make your school that school that every child wants to be part of. And I challenge any leaders out there, man, use that as your driving force. The rest of the stuff will take care of itself. You'll surround yourself with people who'll get you there, the infrastructure part of it, but make your school that school. And again, that excites me. Going back, hey, let's just kind of circle back with everything right here. Chaz, great job. I mean, I'm listening to you as a 30-year person in the field of education, 20 plus years in administration, and I'm walking away with nuggets that are validating to me for what I do, but also a couple of things that I want to try a little bit differently. And that means I never stay stagnant. I think that you can agree with that. Our business is evolving all the time. Yeah. And anybody who's afraid to evolve with it, my gosh, you're in the wrong profession. So last, like a 2-minute drill right here as I'm watching my Patriots almost just score that touchdown to tie the game, but they didn't do it. That's what I was watching. But nevertheless, let's recap right now. Here we go, Chaz, recap. Your message to everybody in the learning community out there, anybody in the field of education, anybody who's working through pain and trying to turn it, what would you say? You ready? Go. It's on you.
No matter how much you're feeling broken, no matter how much you're feeling broken, no matter how much someone tried to break you, or you even try to break yourself, you have treasures in you that the world desperately needs. Believing that your life isn't about you doesn't mean you don't love yourself first. It means no matter your condition, you will always have love and beauty inside of you that will impact the world for good if you put the right tool into your toolbox. Live your life to impact others once again, dear educator.
What do you think of that, Josh?
If you're not following him, follow him.
Well, follow him now.
Right there, it's Chaz Perez Speaks on X. How else can they get a hold of you, Chaz?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn? Oh, yeah, he's great on LinkedIn. That's his is that your primary platform?
That's my primary, yes. I focus on LinkedIn, yeah.
All right, so LinkedIn, please make sure you follow him. He's bringing a lot to the table right now, and we really appreciate everything that you did for us today. It's true, because you know what? We are in the seasoned category, that young man up there in the corner and myself, but it's always making sure that we learn from everybody, and refreshers are always the best. So whenever people go to, I don't want to go to this PD, I don't want to go to this training, you know what? You might get that one thing that helps you reflect. 90% might be horrible, but that 10% made it a great PD. So just take that into consideration, because individuals like Chaz bring a lot to the table. So reach out to him and make sure that you're part of that vision of making sure that kids are nothing but the focus in life. But you know what, Dean? It's not over. Dean, it's not over. It is not over, sir. This Thursday, the Red Zone, the Leadership Show. Come and join us. And we need you. If you want to be part of the show, please reach out there on social media so we could book you. We're already booking for the month of November. And next Sunday, a little change of schedule, 4 p.m. Eastern, the flagship show. And around the corner on the 15th, Office Hours Season 2. Office Hours Season 2.
I can't wait to see what scenarios you come up with now, Josh.
Hey, life is crazy, brother. I don't need to make them up. 20-minute problem-solving show. What would you do, administrator, with the scenario that's dropped in front of you? Chaz, thank you very much. Dean, take us home.
Hey, on behalf of Josh, myself, Chaz, thank you so much, man. Do what you do what you love, and you'll never have to call it work. And I love that, man. And I can see that right there inside of all of you. Hey, everybody out there, again, we want to say thank you very much to Chaz for being with us tonight. If you don't follow him, please do so. And for everybody else out there, make sure you make this week a special week, because kids deserve that. Hang on if you can for a second, Chaz. Everybody have a great week. Take care. We'll see you on Thursday night.